All right, since my bandwidth is trash, we're gonna do this instead. One of the things I wanted to get done today was getting hero damage animations integrated. At the moment, we have something interesting. We place an enemy. Every turn, it's going to attack to the bottom right. Every enemy that I place will do the same thing. They're all doing it at the same time. Something interesting I discovered. So, me being in this position, I can wait here all day and I'm never going to actually have anything visual to represent that I've been damaged, even though underneath the hood, I very well might have been. So, we want to integrate a damage animation. And as it turns out, there is an asset for this in the Mini Fantasy pack. The damage animation looks very similar to the enemy damage animation. So when this enemy I just placed down gets attacked, it looks like that. And the hero damage animation, or rather the human one, should be very similar. So I want to get that integrated. Last time I attempted to stab at this, for some reason, game crashed. And because I've stripped out a lot of the error message stuff, I'm going to have to reintegrate a lot of that stuff back in. So come with me as I get a sprite worked into the system again. We get some basic checks, bare minimum error messages, so we can identify what went wrong when attempting to integrate, and we can develop a pattern, write it down, and that way we don't forget exactly how to add new stuff when time comes. So, step one should be that I make sure that I'm in the right fucking window before I type anything. Step two, over in our textures file, we have a bunch of hard coded ID. Oh, that's why it was crashing. I accidentally had it. Imagine discovering the bug within the first few minutes of the video that you're making. I'm just saying. Uh, da, 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 da. Mm. Okay, so now we should be able to actually put these back in. Everything should be copacetic at this point. Is the other things I did already. Step one, you add ID and information to textures.txt. Step two is you over in libgamedefines, which I have not figured out a better way to do this yet, but we assign a hard-coded ID that we first define in the textures.txt file with a human readable texture definition. That way we have something we can actually refer to whenever we're over in texture keys. Because for instance, for a human, we have all of these different sprites. Idling, the shadow, the walk, the walking shadow, the attack, the attacking shadow, the jump shadow, spin die shadow, soul die shadow. I haven't even used these yet, but they're there because they will be used soon. We have guard shadow, guard success shadow, which we have not used yet either, and human damage, which is brand new. Similarly, we're already using everything of the orcs except for the charged attack and the die. But this is essentially like how things are kind of organized at the moment. So the human has its own set of keys, the orc has its own set of keys, and as we introduce new entities, they too will have their own animations defined here. So because of the way that things are read in, we essentially automatically slice out the correct parts of the textures in order to essentially define sprites that get animated, which is what you saw earlier. So as an example of this, let's look for text human idle, not present. Oh, so this is defined as an animation sprite group. So the way this works is this is an association with the textures. So if you take a look at our texture keys, you notice that the first texture is human idle, and the second one is human idle shadow. So in general, for these types of entities, there's a pattern of the sprite and then the shadow being followed immediately behind it. So in order to reference correctly which animation you actually want to set, I decided to create a very simple bridge where we can say sprite group human idle here in order to define what the actual index is for that particular animation. So that way you don't accidentally select a shadow. So similarly, we need to add human damage to 16 in order for this to properly integrate. And so, for instance, if we ever want to actually set the animation for the hero to be damage, we would call a line like this: libgame entity animation set, where we're passing in the game state, the hero ID, and the index of the animation that we actually want to set it to. If you set it to something that's not correct, stuff might not work. I haven't thoroughly tested that, but that's something to be done. So, how do the damage animations for the orc work, right? So update entity damage animation. If was damaged and sprite group. In this case, we're currently setting human to spin die, which this is not correct. This would actually be human damage now. So with the orc, what happens is we first kind of set a variable to be the index of the animation they actually want to set it to. And if that happens to be the current one, as in if we're currently in that animation already, like it's already started going, then what we do is we check to see how many loops we've gone through for that animation for damage. And if we've gone through once, then we want to reset that back to idling, right? So if the entity was damaged and has a valid sprite group, we probably wrap these two lines of these two blocks together somehow, because there's a lot of similarities. The only real difference here is whether or not it's a human or orc. It's like this whole inner block here. And actually the only difference here too is the inner block with the index. So this is almost essentially the same code. But the idea here is that if the human was damaged, then we do the exact same thing. So I wonder if this will work. Compiles. I see no indication that the hero is being damaged at all. And I think that might actually be because we're only doing this for certain entities. It says that we're doing it for all the entities. So So in the bottom right, we have this debug panel. On it indicates the heroes was damaged. Let's verify that that's not like hard coded with some dumb value. Hero was damaged. Yeah, so that's correctly set based on the hero ID that we get. So we might want to get some more information from the attack process, right? Very interesting. We see the create action occurring, but no indication of the print statements that we just wrote actually getting triggered. Why is he returning true? Those shouldn't return true. See, I think that's probably what's happening. It thinks there's no entities there because the hero's not properly moving into that location, or there's some sort of off by one error that's occurring. I see no indication. It's saying no entities at 6.2, but I'm at 6.2 now. And I'm wondering, is the reset for was damage happening too fast for us to actually see the animation? Things should be pretty generically written, so this shouldn't be actually something that's happening. Let's see here. Okay, so it's no longer printing no entities, but it's probably, oh, this is probably why. Because see how it should be generic, right? Like we have like the same code for both handling NPC and player, but this should work now. Gotta love that hot reload. Yes. Now here's a problem. Um, the the entity the the entity that actually attacks me, the animation isn't actually triggering off, right? That's kind of funny. Does it only animate if it returns true? Oh, we didn't return true there. Yeah. There we go. Mission accomplished. Look at that beautiful, beautiful interaction. I'm getting hit. Now I'm hitting him. Now he's hitting me. Now I'm hitting him. One thing that I don't like necessarily here is that the player's animating like on top of the attack, when over here, although it's the same thing here. I don't know if I prefer that or not. Kind of like the player's attack animating on top of the enemy. But you notice how this is like very context dependent? On the left hand side, like everything renders from left to right at the moment. So this is one reason that happens. But this is actually kind of progress.